Hey y'all! So we are back with another hymn backstory. Just I don't know how long I'm gonna keep doing this series, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope y'all are too. So we're gonna keep going. Um, so if you are enjoying this series, or if you enjoy any of my videos, just give me a like, subscribe, comment. Let me know that you're enjoying it, or what hymns you want me to play or do the backstory of, and I will do my best to do your requests. Today's backstory is actually going to be a little more of a deeper, I guess, testimony of the hymn, and actually it's more of a modern hymn. I'll get to it in just a minute, but like it still has like the old hymn qualities and all, but it was just written, I want to say in the last 7-8 years, if I remember right. Let's see. I should have the right here, maybe. Yeah, in the last 8 years. It was written in 2014. Today's hymn is "You Are Always Good" by Jonathan Hamilton. You might know his parents, Ron and Shelly Hamilton, aka Patch the Pirate and Sissy Seagull. I grew up listening to Patch the Pirate, and I just fell in love with their style of music, and Shelly is one of my favorite pianists, so I want to at least play half as well as she does. But anyway, their oldest son, Jonathan, was gifted with writing music as well. Sadly, he did take his life due to mental illness caused by acne medication. Yeah, he took his life back in 2013. So that's kind of why this is going to be a deeper backstory, and all of the information I'm going to be gathering is from Shelly's book, Always Only Good. You can get it on majestymusic.com. So it's Always Only Good, a journey of faith through mental illness. And in this book, she gives the her son's testimony through the mental illness that he had. First off, I'm going to give some statistics. Like, all of my information is not my own. It's from Shelly, Majesty Music, and her research. So all of that, like all of the information, is not mine. So, all right, some statistics. It says that nearly 1 in 5 adults in the United States live with mental illness. So at the time this research was done was 2019, and they found approximately 51.5 million adults suffer with mental illness. And I'm actually one of them. I suffer with anorexia, an eating disorder, depression and anxiety, and all that goes on with those three. So I wanted to get this backstory done, one, because I was going back through just kind of listening to my other backstories and realized that I never did this, even though I said it back in the Rejoice in the Lord backstory video that I did, and I will probably link that below if you want to go back to that. But I wanted to get it done because I said I would and never did. And I also want to raise awareness for mental illness, especially in Christian circles where there's a lot of stigma. But to kind of get into Jonathan's testimony, he had some trouble with some acne, so Shelly Hamilton took him to the dermatologist just to see if anything would work. The doctor prescribed a medication, and I can't remember if she mentioned what it was in the book. I don't think so, but if you want to find out, get the book. And then a few weeks after he started taking the medication, Ron and Shelly noticed that his behavior was changing. He would become almost non-responsive in a way. She said that he would try to study, but he would be staring at the page. 2-3 hours later, they'd walk by and he's still on the same page. So just kind of messing with the neurotransmitters in his brain. As the years progressed, a couple years later or so, she took a couple of her other children to the same dermatologist, then mentioned Jonathan's symptoms to the doctor, and he said, "It's a medication, get him off it." And she said that when she called the nurse, telling her about it, the nurse said that it couldn't be the medicine. But the doctor said again, "It's the medicine, take him off it." And she tried it again just to get clarification, and he said a third time, "It's medicine, take him off it." So, and after that, she asked how long would it take for him to kind of get back to himself. Said it should only take a few weeks, but he never did. The medication flipped a switch. The neurotransmitters, it completely rewired his brain, which happens with some medications, with some trauma, with any type of mental illness. Jonathan kept getting worse as the years went by. He was in and out of mental hospitals to protect himself, but also to protect his family. And one time, it was because he had tried and failed that time to take his life. And that's when Ron and Shelly really saw the need for getting him admitted, which no one likes. No one wanted Jonathan to be committed to a hospital. No one likes to be separated from their family. It's scary, it's sad. I know from experience, like right now, I'm in the step-down program for my eating disorder treatment. But I'm still like 2.5 hours away from my family, and I don't like that. I mean, it is better than being inpatient or even in residential, but still, just being away from family, surrounded by other people with mental illness. Like, yes, you understand what each other are going through, but at the same time, you do want your family. After a few weeks, the hospitals would deem Jonathan better since he got back on track with his medication and all. He was able to go home, and he was just kind of like, he would feel better, take himself off the medication. Then, Ron and Shelly would realize there was a problem, and then kind of realize that he was off his medication. So it was just like a full cycle of, we're good, we're going down, we're at the bottom, then we're going back, and it's just all a big cycle, a big mess. They finally went to a doctor, and she mentions him in the book, Dr. Craddock, who was able to put Jonathan on it's called a cocktail of medications, like 3 or 4 medications, like antidepressants, antipsychotics, but the mixture really helped Jonathan do good. one of them, I'm actually on, so, which is funny. But a few years later, the company who made Jonathan's main medicine came out with a generic. And if you know anything about medication, when a generic comes out, insurance won't cover the main or the name brand because you can get a cheaper generic. But generic medications only have to be about like 80% of the name brand for it to be considered the generic for the name brand. Which that in Jonathan's case, that 80% didn't work. And obviously when insurance doesn't cover a medication, it does get expensive and you can't pay it out of pocket for very long. It's just hard. Insurance and pharmaceutical companies just need to stick with what works for all of us who are on medication, not just for mental illness. You see, that was in 2012. In 2013, in March 2013, Dr. Craddock found the generic that would help with Jonathan, that did help his symptoms, help him feel better, and all that. But Jonathan didn't stay on that for very long, maybe a month. He started feeling better, took himself off medication for the last time. And he started having these, I guess, visions or delusions that he could fly, and he wanted to test that out. The first few times, Ron and Shelly and his sister, Alyssa, were able to, kind of talk him out of it. But then on Mother's Day 2013, that's when Jonathan drove himself to a parking garage and jumped. Was after he fixed a wonderful Mother's Day lunch for Shelly, for his grandmothers, and then he offered to do the dishes. And while Ron and Shelly were at church at choir practice, that's when he texted them, "I'm jumping off a parking deck. I love you." It's very sad. And it's going through mental illness yourself is hard, but watching someone go through mental illness is probably harder because you want to help, but you don't know how. And that's why Shelly wrote the book. She wanted to get the testimony of her son out and to help encourage those with mental illness and those who care for people with mental illness. I believe that's why she wrote the book, and that's why Jonathan suffered for so long. I think, if I remember right, 15 years, give or take. That's a long time to be suffering. And I believe the Lord allowed that to happen so that she could help encourage those who do go through mental illness. Help encourage them, know that they're not alone. She says in the book, on page 170, sometimes God allows us to understand why we are going through a trial and to see the good that he is working. Ron losing his eye to cancer has had such a clear, positive outcome. Souls saved, families strengthened, people called to the ministry. The good is so easy for us to see, the rejoicing so natural and easy. Sometimes, however, God does not let us see. At times, things happen when you cannot point anything good. Pain, sickness, anger, sleepless nights, loneliness, death, and suicide are not good things. God is not the author of these things. Is sad. And that leads me to another quote on page 59. It says, God created the world and everything in it to be beautiful and good. As I mentioned at the beginning of the book, Satan, through Adam and Eve, by tempting them to eat of the fruit God forbade, brought sin into this world, and with sin, consequently, bad things. It will serve us well to remember that Satan is the author of sickness, pain, sorrow, and death. Satan wants us to think that bad things happen because God is not good, but instead because Satan is evil. And that's why we go through hard times. Yes, God allows us to go through trials for us to see his good and for us to give him glory and to really lean on and rely on him more. And I believe that Jonathan's going through mental illness and ultimate suicide will draw others closer to God, because they see that when he was not suffering, he was on fire for the Lord. And Ron and Shelly can see, Ron is very sick with dementia at the moment, in the final stages. So that Shelly can see that people are encouraged by his testimony, and they will seek help because of the testimony of Jonathan. Now, how can we help those with mental illness, whether depression, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and the list can go on. We can help them by, one, praying for them and not gossiping about them. Those ladies in church who like to say, oh, pray for so-and-so. Yeah, did you hear that so-and-so is going through this? I really think we ought to pray for them. We just need to let them know. Yeah, you can let others know to pray for them too. There are ladies like that in I shouldn't just say ladies. There are people like that in every church, unfortunately. So yeah, just pray for them. Don't gossip about them. Open yourself up to them. They may not want your encouragement, or they may not believe you, but believe me, it is encouraging, whether in the moment or when they're thinking about it later. Support the person going through mental illness and the family. I know that I personally lost friends when I told them that I was going through an eating disorder. My family lost friends when I told them because of the stigma surrounding it, especially in Christian circles. Be a sport. Don't shun them. Don't gossip. Just pray for them. Don't criticize them behind their back. Prayer, support, encouragement, not judging. Those are big tips. Destigmatize mental illness. And you can do that by researching, by even talking to the person or the caregivers, the families. Just educate yourself, because mental illness is not something that we choose to have. It's like dementia, like Alzheimer's. No one judges anyone for having dementia, Alzheimer's, anything like that. which some of the symptoms are the same. Sometimes there can be aggression, there can be anger, decisional capacities gone. But yeah, mental illness, out of those three, mental illness, dementia, Alzheimer's, mental illness is stigmatized because a lot of people think it's a choice when it's really not. And a final tip: treat the mentally ill just as if you would treat anybody else. We have feelings. We want to be treated and included, just like everybody else. Those are some ways that outsiders can help encourage and support people and families going through mental illness. Let's see. Another thing, she gives several lists, and I'm just giving a few. For the ones going through mental illness, get medical support. You need to find the right medications, the right doctors to help you know what you're going through, help you through it. You need spiritual support, biblical counselors, church, pastors, pastors' wives. Like, you need to be filling yourself with spiritual things. And you need emotional support. People, your family that care about you. So medical support, biblical support, emotional support. Those are the three big things. For those going through mental illness, pray, get help. A lot of people are afraid to get help, but you're so much stronger for getting help than just trying to do it all on your own. Pray, listen to biblical teachings and preaching, stay on your medication. That's a big one for me. I start feeling better, I'm like, hit or miss, my medication. No, I need to stay on my medication, and so do you. Pray. Focus on your blessings. Be aware that most won't understand your illness, but the few who do, or at least accept you the way you are, they lean onto them. Never give in to the temptation to take your life. Never. If you're still breathing, you have a purpose. I'm just gonna say that. Realize you have a new normal. Like, it involves therapy, medication, staying on track. For me, it involves a meal plan. Like, we need to keep on track with our new normal. Those are just a few of the ways. Actually running out of time. My camera storage is almost full, so I'm trying to hurry. For those who are caring for someone with mental illness, here are some tips. Love them, regardless, and show them. Pray, be patient, make sure your carry gets to their doctor's appointments. Their medical doctors, therapists, they make sure they get to their doctors. So make sure they take their medication. And when you're not thinking straight, you can find ways around it. But families, you need to make sure that they're taking their medication, even if you have to watch them take it. Find support where you can. And she suggests NAMI, N-A-M-I, the National Affiliation of Mental Illness. Just look there to find support. And make your pastor aware of this situation so he can pray. He may not understand, and I'm going to say this, pray about it before you talk to your pastor, just because, there is that stigma, especially in Christian circles, surrounding mental illness. Find ways to laugh with your caring. Laughter is the best medicine. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. So that tip is kind of for both the family and for the sufferer. Pray some more. Trust God. Find ways to rejuvenate and refresh yourself. Whether that's reading, whether that's going on a walk, taking a hot bath, which I want to do. But rejuvenate yourself so that you can help your caring. Those are some of the ways that you can help support and encourage your loved one going through mental illness. Now, here are some of the whys behind or some of the answers of why Shelly Hamilton wrote this book. To help remove the stigma of mental illness, help counselors to know what they can do better to counsel and to help those with mental illness, to encourage the onlookers, the outsiders, to be more supportive and encouraging to those with and the families who support those with a mental illness. Encourage those with mental illness to keep taking their medicine no matter how good they feel. Giving hope to those with mental illness and to those who are the caregivers. And finally, and most important, showing how she discovered that God is always only good, even through mental illness. And some more, mental illness is not often talked about, and we need to break that. We need to push through the shame and the fear surrounding it, just so that we can better help those with mental illness. And so we can share our testimonies and hopefully break the stigma so that it can be understood, which is the second point. Mental illness is so misunderstood. We need to help others understand it better so that we can get better help and support. And so that mental illness can be counseled effectively and appropriately. It's not just a sin issue. It's not just a wrong, bad thought here and there. And for me, I was told very often that I had sin in my life. And yes, I sinned while in the mental illness. I lied, manipulated, deceived, like I was the complete opposite of everything that's right and good. So I sinned in it, but I don't believe I'm sinning for having mental illness, because I didn't wake up one day, oh, I want to have mental illness, I want to have an eating disorder. No, that's not the case at all. There's something going on. The neurotransmitters in my head went haywire, and for me, looking at food, I'm like, I don't want it. And there's some other factors which I will probably get into in another video. I only have like a minute and a half of storage left, so I'm going to have to delete stuff off the camera before I can even record the hymn. But yeah, so I wanted to give kind of "You Are Always Good." I wanted to get that kind of out of the way as I said before, Jonathan was gifted in writing music. He wrote the music to You Are Always Good, The Just Shall Live by Faith, I Am Weak But You Are Strong, which is beautiful. I highly suggest you look it up. Higher Ground, I want to say My Hope is Jesus, The Secret Place, and many more. But after Jonathan passed, they found the tune to what became You Are Always Good. And Ron and Shelly tried to write lyrics for the tune, but they couldn't. So they gave the tune to Chris Anderson, and he said that he wanted this hymn to be Jonathan's version of Rejoice in the Lord. So he was able to write the lyrics to You Are Always Good, which I love the chorus. It says, though my eyes can't see, help my heart believe, you are always only good. And yeah, so all of my information came from Always Only Good by Shelly Hamilton. You can get it on Majesty Music. Alright, so I am back. I deleted some storage off of, some of the pictures and all. I put them on thumb drives so that we can continue with today's video. I was kind of rushed at the end, so I don't know how much you got, but at the end I was just saying how Ron and Shelly Hamilton gave the tune that Jonathan wrote to Chris Anderson to write the lyrics, and Chris Anderson wanted this song to be Jonathan's Rejoice in the Lord, just like something as encouraging and as uplifting and comforting as Ron Hamilton's Rejoice in the Lord. So he came up with You Are Always Good. I'm going to read the lyrics. Looking back, I can see your fingerprints upon my life, always seeking my best. There were times when your way would make no sense, but as you said, you have never left. Looking up, I can see your sympathy. I doubt myself, but I'm sure of your love. Lavish grace was poured out at Calvary, securing me for our home above. And there's one more verse. Looking in, I can see my frailty. My sin is great, and my strength is so small. Still you stay, and your mercy shelters me. You hold my hand, and you hear my call. The chorus, you are always good, you are only good. You are always good to me. Though my eyes can't see, help my heart believe, you are always only good. And really, our English, our human language, we can't come up with a good adjective for God. I mean, good, great, amazing, awesome, like there's not enough words in the human languages to describe how good God is. So that's just like an all-encompassing word. The best word that Chris Anderson could come up with. So now I'm going to try to play this. It's an arrangement done by James Coertz in the songbook Always Good, which you can also get on majestymusic.com. So, not sponsored by them, kind of wish, but oh well. I just love their music and music products. So I'm going to attempt to play this for you. wasn't perfect. I did practice, but I'm not used to my old keyboard anymore. So yeah, it is what it is at this point. Mr. James Cowards, if you end up watching this, I'm sorry I butchered your arrangement. But anyway, I hope y'all have a good rest of your Sunday or good week whenever you watch this. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment. Just let me know what you like and what you want to see next. Alright, I will see y'all next time. Bye!